I'm Ellen. I am 21 years old. I'm going to be 22 in like a month, and it's really creeping me out.
I know.
I'm from London, although I don't live there anymore, which is all part of my the story of myself.
Yes.
And I study English and French, regrettably.
Why regrettably?
Oh, I hate English. I really do. It's only in the last few years I finally realised it.
I mean, I came to the same realization
moly,
with art history. I'm just like, oh, God.
Yeah, I love, the annoying thing is, like, I love reading. I really do. But I hate it on an academic level. Oh, my God.
Does it ruin the books for you? I always found that it did in high school for me, but...
I mean, on an academic... No, it doesn't really.
Oh, okay,
in fact, whenever... Especially if it's, like, a really well-known text, and people always think, oh, God, it's so hard to really, like, crack the meaning. People just read something and they're like, cool, that was great.
Yeah.
Great story, whatever. But actually, like, finding out the meaning behind something, I really love that.
Good.
But it's more the people. English majors have this stereotype of being, like, totally at peace with the world and, like, being such hippies and, I don't even know. And I just find myself trying not to roll my eyes constantly in my seminars because these people are going on about random crap that have nothing to do with it. And I know that you're,
I get it with art history too, yeah.
Like, I know that you're a very staunch feminist, and of course, like, I am too. However, everything becomes a gender issue. And it's like, no, it's not. I'm sorry.
What is your earliest memory?
God. Okay, good, because, that's not going to happen. I do have one from maybe when I was about... God, how old must I have been? About 5 or 6. Kind of like a smattering of memories from around, like, I don't know what year it would be in the States, but it's like maybe year 1 or 2 here. And, no, I tell a lie, sorry. One just popped up from when I was in nursery. Must have been about 4, actually. And so, back in London when I was in nursery, I went to this sort of like, I think it's called like a Montessori nursery or something. Yeah. And it was set in this church hall, and we were, like, in the middle of a park. And I remember I met one of my closest and oldest friends there. I mean, obviously oldest, because I was, 4. And she also went to that same nursery. And we had this thing where, like, obviously nowadays you can't really, take lots of children, like, especially lots of little children, outside of their play. It's really quite sad. But we would have to hold on to this rope, and we called it the crocodile line. To go from the nursery into the little park, which was literally just across the road.
And there was a rope?
Yep.
That's so
And we had to hold on to the rope.
Who was holding the rope on either side? 2 teachers? Or?
Yeah, so there'd be teachers at one end, and then all of the people would have to be, like, paired up and holding onto the rope to walk across the street.
Sweet.
I remember being paired up with Katie, who is still my great mate to this day. We'd be like, Katie, don't forget to hold on to the rope.
What kind of child were you in your younger years, so primary school?
Apparently I was just angelic. I don't know how I turned out to be that way, but yeah, I was...
How so? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, when I was a baby, I was a very quiet baby, apparently. Like, I remember... Well, I don't remember this specifically. My mum is so proud of this story. She, when I was about 6 months old, her sister and her family were living in Montana at the time, and we decided to go and visit them. Because that's what my family likes to do, like to bring very newborn babies into very frozen climates at wintertime. But there we go. So we went onto this plane, and we were sitting in, like, the very first row in economy, so everyone can see you as they come into their seats. And this businessman was just coming through the curtains, and he saw me in Mum's arms and kind of went like, oh, God, there's going to be a baby on a 10-hour flight. Jesus, because I think we had to stop at, like, Chicago or something. I did not make a peep the entire time. It's not as if my mum was, like, feeding you rum or anything either. And I remember that apparently that same businessman came up to my mum after the flight and was like, how on earth do you do it? I've got a 2-year-old. She would not stop screaming. Aww. She was just like, I don't know. She just came out like this.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, and then even just apparently through that, I was just apparently a very normal, quiet, nice child.
So you were quite quiet? Or do you...
I wasn't quiet, but I was well behaved.
Yes.
Apparently. And I knew no, and I knew when, something was out of bounds and things like that. But
yeah.
Yeah, I was a very giggly and smiley child, apparently.
Aww.
I'm so cliche.
Oh. So tell me a little more about growing up in London. Did you grow up in the city or more of a suburban?
I mean, no one really grows up in, like, central London, not unless you're, like, you know, if you're Madonna's child and you live right behind Oxford Circus, which apparently that's a thing.
We can wish.
Yeah. I lived in quite what I now know to be a very well-off suburb of London, Chiswick.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I had a great childhood, to be perfectly honest. I mean, friends-wise, family-wise, wasn't that great, to be perfectly honest. But I always had a very close-knit group of friends. I had basically the same friends. We were all very lucky that the majority of my friends went from my primary school to my secondary school. And in my secondary school, I wasn't, you know, on the social scale, I was not high up whatsoever. I was kind of maybe penultimate level,
okay.
if we're going to use that social scale, yeah. But we were all just the greatest of friends. Yeah.
What's it like growing up with the same group of friends? That's just not an experience I had, but...
I mean, I only still talk to 2-3 of them who are really, like, I know them from primary school, like, since I was about 6 years old. And it's funny because you really get to see the changes that people have gone through. And I know that they say, well, you know, people never really change, but I really don't agree with that, having had this experience of, you know, 18 years of knowing the same people more about. People change. They really do. Like, I know that even from my friends' perspectives looking at me, which I don't think, you know, any of my St Andrews friends would get, I was a completely different human when I was about 15, 16 to what I am now. I was quite a pushover. I was really quiet. I didn't really know how to say no to people. But now I'm much more confident. I actually speak out for myself, you know, all that lovely stuff. But yeah, I mean, even talking about, like, my old school friends, I'll come back to Katie again, with that example. She was a little bit like me in primary school. She was so quiet. She kept to herself, and she was an absolute nutcase. Like, she was hilarious human. And then she went to a school that in London you kind of, it seems a bit harsh, but it wasn't as academically
rigorous.
No, yeah. But it was seen as, like, a cool school.
Yeah.
So I remember we kind of lost touch for a few years, and then we got back in contact. And she was just like, God, I was so jealous of her. She was just so cool. She just exuded this amazing confidence and, like, almost just, you know, she was like one of those girls. Do you know what I mean? Like, the girls that you just look at and you're like, oh, I want to be you. You're just so cool. Yeah, so, I mean, it doesn't really feel like I've grown up with the same people just because they've changed.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting in and of itself, like, especially because I don't see them very regularly anymore from, you know, being in Scotland and having moved out of London and things like that. So every time I see them, it's both a mixture of getting to know them again, but also just picking up right where we left off.
Which is kind of fun, though, too, when you get to pick up on the new things, but there's still that level of comfort where you can still just go right back into friendship and having fun so easily.
Yeah. It's great.
Okay. Describe 10-year-old Ellen.
Oh, God. 10-year-old Ellen was quite chubby. She was a bit... Oh, God. I don't really remember 10-year-old Ellen, to be perfectly honest.
What would you wear?
Oh.
I remember I had a pair of gauchos. When I was
yeah. Actually, something came up on my... I can probably show you, actually. Something came up on my, like, Facebook memories the other day, and it was the most embarrassing thing in the world. So, at the end of primary school, we went to the Isle of Wight on, like, which is, like, an island kind of just south of England, which is, like, and it was, like, one of those holiday camps for kids. So we all went as a class, like, celebrate the end of, you know, kind of our primary school life, etc. And it was... We had to go to this disco thing, but we didn't have to. But so
how old are you?
I was 10.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Don't worry. And I had this outfit, which I remember we had to keep a diary for the entire week, and I remember the phrase verbatim.
Oh, I love it.
I had a new, quote, coin skirt. So looking back in the image, it was kind of like maybe a just above the knee black A-line skirt, and it had layers of, like, coins dripping down from it.
That is so cool.
And then I also wore with it a, quote, stripy pineapple top. which was like this strappy vest top which had like lime green and peach pink stripes across the neck, and then a tiny little pineapple logo kind of went on. Like, it was very embarrassing. It was so bad. Yeah, 10-year-old Ellen was just kind of an extension of kind of very much child me. I don't know. I was still very sweet and, you know, kind and whatever, but I was a bit kooky. Just a bit. I was into, I can't even remember. Did you ever have those, like, Scooby-Doo sort of things? Like, you'd have to plait, like, strands of plastic or anything like that? Oh, it was such a craze in England. Oh, my God.
Okay.
And you'd come up with these shapes, which was, well, I was into stuff like that. Yeah.
What was it like growing up as an only child?
I always get that question.
I know, I'm sure you do.
I know.
What's your relationship like with your parents as a result of your childhood?
As a result, we're incredibly close, but I think some would argue that we're maybe too close, because I know that, I mean, people ask me what's it like to grow up as an only child, but for me it's normal because obviously I've never known anything other way. I mean, I can sympathise with friends and their siblings, like, you know, both of my very old, you know, school friends have older brothers and younger sisters and all that sort of stuff, so I know vaguely what the experience is like, but of course I'll never have that sibling bond. My mum and I are incredibly close, like ridiculously so. She's probably more, she's probably more of a sister than a mum. My dad and I, we are so similar, but we don't get along whatsoever. We are not close in any sense of the way. In fact, he had a bit of a drinking problem from when I was about 7 to maybe 15, and it's still like, you know, he just finished his last job actually, and he was kind of, Mum and I were really concerned because we thought he was teetering back off in that direction because he was really unhappy in it, and that's kind of why he left. But yeah, so because of growing up in that environment, Mum and I are very close because, you know, she'd go out for drinks and dinners with her friends and I'd be like, Mum, I need you to come home. Yeah. And it'd be a bit difficult, but yeah. So I mean, I think Dad kind of understands that it was difficult for Mum and I, so he's been very good in the past few years kind of making it up to us in hindsight, but it's still, he doesn't really understand what it's like to be a young, you know, 20-something girl in this day and age. He's very much like stiff, he's your classic stiff upper lip Englishman. He kind of veers toward the right, and it's all a bit, we get into the most ridiculous arguments. Even though my dad is probably one of the most liberal humans you will ever meet, in terms of, he's absolutely fine with, I remember this as well, he's absolutely fine with me taking drugs, having sex, drinking to excess, having fun, meeting new people, going to crazy places, as long as, quote, I don't get addicted, I don't get pregnant, I don't get infected, any of that kind of bad stuff. Or that I smoke.
Real consequences.
Any of the real consequences. Yeah. Well, he's fine with me experiencing life because apparently he used to be best friends with, like, the biggest methamphetamine dealer in the Thames Valley, which, you know, that's my claim to fame.
Yeah. My dad used to know.
My dad, yeah. So...
What was it like growing up in that environment with a dad that relied on alcohol quite a bit? It was quite lonely. Yeah. Not gonna lie. Which is probably why I have such close friendships with my friends, because they know. That was your outlet? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was just like, it was weird going around to friends' houses and experiencing, you know, a family night all in front of the TV where the dad wouldn't fall asleep on the sofa halfway through the movie and then not go up to bed, which is what I'm used to. Yeah, there were some really, really horrible moments when I was about maybe 12, 13, which I won't go into because they're quite graphic. But that's fine. Yeah, I mean, now I kind of realise that it's so important to me that I don't inflict that sort of environment on my children. Because my mum was always like, oh, you know, obviously my parents love each other very much. They wouldn't still be together after 30 years if they didn't. Mm-hmm. But because of that, she was always like, Ellen, I really don't want you to grow up in this, but at the same time, your dad needs us, especially when there's only just one kid. Yeah. So it was always a bit like, I mean, even though I was the only child, and everyone always said, oh, you must be such a spoiled brat, you must be such, you know, you know, you get all of the attention. You don't know what it's like to share.
Ugh.
I do, because my mum always
a lot
had to
more
share
going on.
between me and
Yeah.
Dad, who was, in his own way, a child.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What kind of takeaways did you learn about, I don't know, relationships or responsibility from...
I've always had a very huge sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
Huge. Because of that, because of what my childhood was like, and just the fact of being an only child, I feel that I've matured so much quickly than my other friends. Like, I'm at the age of 13, 14, I was, maybe even earlier than, like 12, 13, I was going home on my own. I could cook myself dinner sometimes. I've always been, you know that, have you seen Matilda?
Yeah.
You know that scene where she's making pancakes?
Yeah.
That was me. That was me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always felt this really great, you know, sense of responsibility and duty towards people.
Is that a burden or something that you enjoy taking on? Or is it mixed? I don't know.
It's probably, it sounds horrible, but it's probably more of a burden.
Yeah.
Because I love my
not
friends,
horrible.
I do, but so when I was like 18, my entire childhood best friend, who I've talked about for ages, Hannah, she, like, our parents were best friends, our families were so close, and she was like, you know, us going through from the ages of 6 to 18, we were inseparable.
Yeah.
She was my sister. She really was.
Mm-hmm.
But she had mental health problems of her own. She self-harmed. She had on and off depression, and it was really difficult. And because of that, my sense of responsibility and duty towards her just grew ridiculously.
I'm sure.
But then we went on this, like, you know, post A-levels gals holiday. And
To where?
Malia. I was one of those people. I know. I'm sorry.
I love it.
I'm sorry.
I love
You
it.
just
No
wanted me to
apologies.
say that.
I did. That was a little selfish.
But yeah, so I had made the grievous mistake of bringing along my then boyfriend, Will, who was a prick. Even though this was another part, I couldn't say no to him because I just never really knew how to.
Yeah.
And even though my friends have been like, Ellen, no, don't. He just threatened to be like, well, I'm coming anyway. I'm just going to buy a ticket. So I was like, you know.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. So he came along. Things got really bad. Like, he, you know, would throw things at me, accuse me of cheating. You know, obviously in that environment, it's so easy to. But, you know, I was by his side the entire fucking time. I don't know when he thought I was going to do anything. Meanwhile, Katie and Hannah were off having a grand old time. I mean, in that sense.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, things just kind of, like, came to a head and they just all broke. And then after that holiday, she never spoke to me again.
Have you spoken to her since?
Nope.
Would you want to?
I don't know. I've got so
Or do you
many...
need more time?
I mean, I've had 4 years. I'm absolutely fine now, to be honest. Because I remember coming to St Andrews and, like, that whole group of friends I didn't really speak to for about 6 months to a year after, because everyone was just like, okay, what the fuck happened? We still don't really know. Yeah. But so then I gradually got back in contact with people. They're still good friends with Hannah, I think. I mean, I think I've kind of weaseled my way back in a little bit better than she has, which I'm really proud of. I mean, I always, you know, you have dreams about meeting the people that you never really got to say what you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think, like, I imagine she must have thought that I would be crippled socially, that I would never love again, I'd never have another best friend. Well,
yeah,
she's wrong. Very, very wrong. So it feels bad to say it, but, like, I'm really proud of myself that I've ended up kind of this successful and this happy without her, because I always thought that she would be integral to my happiness. But
yeah,
it's good to know, like, in that way it was a burden, because after about, you know, in first year I was a little bit stranded. And I felt very scared about becoming really good friends with people again, because I didn't want them to suddenly be ripped away from me inexplicably. But it's good to know that I can.
Yeah.
And it's really, I feel really happy with what I've ended up with.
When did you start dating Will? I guess, like, what age did that start?
So, remember when I said that at about 10, 11 I was quite chubby?
Yeah.
I've always had awful self-confidence. Absolutely awful. Yeah, and I like to think I've been a bit of an ugly duckling who's turned into a swan. I mean, I like to think I'm not totally repulsive nowadays.
You're not?
Thank you, yeah, so I've always had really awful self-confidence, and it kind of stems from, so like back in first year of secondary school, so I was maybe about 12, the guy I liked asked me out.
Oh. What's his name? Oh.
Yeah, his name was Robbie. He was part of, like, you know, that group. He was, you know, aspiring, hot football guy. And he asked me out for a dare for £1. Of course I said yes. He broke up with me after a week in the classroom. It was really awful. So kind of since then I'd been a bit like, okay, maybe men aren't my thing. And then I had, so this is going to get confusing, but then a good friend of mine in my circle of friends, also called Will, but not same Will.
Yeah.
Was lovely. I wasn't in love with him or anything, but, like, I thought I was at the time.
Yeah.
You know, that you get those really intense teenage
crushes. Well, it's hard to separate friendship from romantic feelings, especially at that age. When
exactly, yeah.
Everything seems romantic.
And he was such a good friend of mine that I did misconstrue friendship for being, like, something else. So from maybe about the age of, like, 13 to 16, I had the biggest crush on him. Everyone knew, he knew.
Yeah.
But I really didn't care because I just loved spending time with him, and he was also gorgeous. Oh, he's French. Oh, he's just... Oh, Will, where did you go? He's now a doctor, I think. I know, I might have to get back in
Single?
touch. I think he might be. Yeah, I think he might be. Well, you never know. And then... Yeah, but, like, nothing would ever happen. And nothing ever did happen.
Yeah.
And so after those kind of incidences... And all of my friends around me, meanwhile, were lucky in love. Like, Hannah went through boyfriend after boyfriend. Katie went through crush after crush. And I was just like, okay then. So I had had a couple of friends in the year above. And when I was invited to one of them, I was invited to one of their 16th birthday parties. And I thought, oh my God, I'm so cool. I'm going to a house party at a 16-year-old. Oh my God. So I went to her house party, and it was like a fancy dress thing. So I went as a mime.
Love it.
Oh, I've since deleted the photos because they are very incriminating. It was like my first foray into drugs, alcohol. I mean, no drugs, but I was smoking cigarettes. I was drinking beer. Oh my God.
Was that the first time you drank?
It was the first time I drank properly.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. No, probably wasn't the first time I drank properly because I'd been to parties before then, but this was like my first, oh my God, I'm at a real party. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And there was this guy there called Will, who was also in the year above, who was this girl's really great friend, and I'd never met him before, and he paid attention to me. And it was the first time where I thought, oh my God, there's a guy, he likes me. This is amazing. And then, you know, one thing led to another, and suddenly we were making out on her garden swing bench thing. It was very embarrassing, given that there were only about 15 people at the party. And then kind of from then, it was really bad, Taylor. I was in mime makeup, for God's sake. He gave us a circus. He gave us a lion tamer. He had the hat. It was so bad.
That's an excellent visual.
It was so awful.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So I thought, oh my God, this guy, he likes me. And looking back, he was so creepy. He was one of those nice guys who feels that they owe you something. So even though he did seem really sweet, and I was really taken aback by it, because it was the first time this guy had actually been nice to me without having either an ulterior motive or just leading me on being a dick. So we started going out. And it was okay for about, you know, a year and a half until I realised that other men were also paying attention to me. Because I think I'd kind of lost the puppy fat. I was feeling more confident in myself. I was talking to more people, and things were looking up for me, and I realised...
Did he spark your confidence, or did that come from something else?
I think he sparked it.
Yeah.
I think it was a mixture of, like, after, 16, 17, we started getting invited to other house parties in the year, and realised that, okay, my school isn't as cliquey as I thought.
Yeah.
I just needed a bit of confidence to, like, actually talk to different people. So I started doing that, and it felt really good. And I started wearing things I hadn't really worn before, and people were starting to notice me a bit more. And I was like, oh my God, is this what it feels like to actually be confident? Will didn't like that at all. So he tried to tighten his grip, and I didn't realise at the time he was incredibly controlling, very emotionally manipulative. He was kind of like an indie rocker boy. He loved the Foo Fighters. We went to a couple of concerts together, which were actually really great experiences, and I don't regret those whatsoever. Like, he got me surprise tickets to go see the Kaiser Chiefs. which was really great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But he would say things to me like, oh, Ellen, you should wear your hair just like this. And he would just scrape all of my hair onto the side of my face. And I'm like, no, I don't like it like that. And he was like, oh, but I think you should. And he'd say, oh, well, you should wear lots of eyeliner because I think you look good with lots of eyeliner. And I'm like, I don't want to wear lots of eyeliner. He's like, oh, I think you should. And just little things like that, which I didn't realise until there came a crunch point. Like my very last year of uni, he had gone to, my very last year.
I was like, what?
Yeah, my last year of school.
Yeah.
He, again, because he was in the year above, he'd gone off to uni. So I did see him again on and off. We were still together. We broke up because it just got a little bit too hard. I found out he'd been cheating on me the entire year at uni. Obviously, my confidence just dropped.
Yeah.
And it wasn't great. And then I remember he was home for the weekend. And he came to my door with like a massive thing of flowers. And I remember my mum just behind me just being like, really?
Yeah.
But I was so persuaded by it because obviously my confidence had taken such a knocking that I was like, yes, okay, yeah. And it was around that time that we were organising this holiday. And he was like, I want to come with you. I was like, well, it's a friends thing. Like, you can't come. He's like, I don't want you to be in that environment on your own. I'm coming with you. I was like, So, had to.
Yeah.
And then Malia happened, and then it all went to shit. But
what did you learn from that relationship?
That was my turning point between the shit with my friends, because in that whole situation, they thought that I was the one who kind of fucked everything up. Which was really, like, it wasn't. I still, to this day, don't think it was fair. Like, at the time, everyone was, there were maybe 8 of us on this trip. I was ostracised, and no one would talk to me anymore because they thought I'd fucked the trip up, even though Will was the one who'd been abusive toward me. And that's when I realised, like, no, this isn't right. I'm never going to let a boyfriend be that abusive to me again. And I haven't. To this day. I know that some may disagree, but I don't think so. And I've certainly never let my friends be like that to me again, because I realised in that moment, I went through a really horrible thing. And my friends should have been there for me. But they weren't.
Yeah.
And then it all came to a fore when, I met you guys and other people, and I realised this is what true friendship is. I mean, I know I've since gotten back in contact with, Katie and Hector and other people like that. It doesn't make them horrible.
So people grow and...
Yeah, exactly. And they did realise when we had, like, the first big reunion conversation, they were like, Ellen, we realised that we were completely in the wrong and we're really sorry that we abandoned ship because of it. We were just scared to deal with something like that serious. I was like, it's okay, I understand it. So I think since then I've been in a really healthy place with my friends because I know, like, what's good for friendship and what really isn't. I'm still working out the whole boyfriend thing.
But it's tough when a formative relationship like that is the way it was.
Yeah. And
just moving on from that, like, where do you go?
I know. And it's so hard in hindsight because you're like, Ellen, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Why were you like that?
Hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah, exactly. And I always think, like, it's lovely being a very happy and bubbly and sweet, gentle child. But when you're still like that as a teenager, when you have to stick up for yourself to horrible people, then it's not such a great thing.
It's definitely a learned act. It doesn't come naturally always.
Yeah.
To anyone, I don't know.
No.
It hasn't for me,
exactly.
or for people I know. So
yeah, it's always, yeah.
So I asked this to a couple, or to Olivia and M too, but what would be your catchphrase for 15-year-old Ellen? Like, what was 15-year-old Ellen's catchphrase, if you could sum it up?
What was I when I was 15?
Or, like, around that age, if you have something more interesting for another age, it's fine.
Oh, God. I used to say YOLO all the time. I know.
I love it. It was so on trend, and it was so...
That was, like, one of the things I was like, oh, yeah, go to the party this weekend. YOLO. Oh, God, it was so embarrassing. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I was like.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah, it was one of those things that, like, you fake it till you make it. And I was like, right, I'm going to fake it and be, like, one of them.
Yeah.
Didn't work out, but...
That's all right. You talked about this a little bit, but I'll ask it a little more directly. What parts of your parents do you see in yourself, and how do you feel about that?
Ooh, okay. I definitely get my stubbornness from my dad.
Yeah.
Definitely. I get my niceness from my mum. and maybe a bit of my pushoverness from my mum, because I'm a little bit like that with my mum as well, which I know is really horrible.
No, it's not.
I get my skin from my mum. It's really annoying. Which is fine. I get my thighs from my mum. Curse you, mum. Yeah, I think aesthetically I look a lot like my mum.
Mm-hmm.
But personality-wise, I'm very argumentative, just like my dad, although, unlike my dad, I know when to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are probably the things that come to mind.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did where you grew up shape your identity? To what extent did it, do you think?
Oh. I mean, I had a, materialistically, I had a very nice childhood and a very nice teenagerhood.
I like that word.
Yeah. Like living in Chiswick, we were surrounded by very nice cafes and, bars when we did get of that age. We had loads and loads of parks, which I remember, spending sunny days in summer and things like that. So, I mean, my surroundings didn't really relate to my unhappiness.
Mm-hmm.
It was very nice to be in London and actually appreciate the fact that, spending, especially like when I moved, to St Andrews and eventually to Henley, that people be like, oh my God, you're from London, like born and raised. And
yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, do you know how cool that is?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess. But yeah, it made me appreciate like the value of living in a big city, because I know that especially compared to some of the more country folk I know, I'm definitely more street smart than them, which I think is a very valuable thing to have, especially this day and age. But yeah.
Nice. So what led you to come to St Andrews? What informed that decision?
Well, ironically, because it was completely the opposite of London. Because I'd spent all my life in this humongous city, not seeing the same faces every day unless I wanted to. You never bumped into anyone.
Yeah.
Into the same people. Yeah. But of course you come to St Andrews and you see absolutely everyone you know. Even the faces that you recognise from 4 years ago, which you wouldn't in Chiswick.
The ones you don't want to see.
Yeah, the ones you don't want to see, the ones you avoid in Tesco. Yeah, because, well, I keep saying this to people, but, it was the best option at the time for my course, apart from Oxford and Cambridge, but I didn't want to go there, which is what I tell people, but I probably wouldn't have gone in.
No, you didn't want to go.
No, I really didn't. And I mean, St Andrews is just one of those places that you come to and you fall in love with it, or you really don't, because you hate how small it was. But because of how I was feeling at that last in that last year of school, I just wanted to escape, and I just wanted to try and reinvent myself and be a different person.
Yeah.
And it was so coming to St Andrews, it was just beautiful. And I remember taking the tour of Macintosh Hall actually and being like, oh my God, could you imagine living in one of those rooms? And I remember very vividly, we were on seafloor and we were outside of that bathroom, which was, I think, actually across from Liv's bedroom, or the one down.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just standing outside, and one of the student ambassadors was giving us the talk about what it's like to live in a catered standard halls. And suddenly this girl in a towel just comes out of the bathroom. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And leaps across the corridor to go back into her room. And I remember one of the dads just being like, oh, I'd come here. It was so gross. Mum and I just looked at each other like, what? It was really, really grim. And I think this guy's
when you
dad,
edit yourself.
he got an elbow in the stomach being like, Dad, stop it. It was really bad. But yeah, I just remember coming here and being like, oh, I want to walk these couple streets. I want to come here. I want to...
Couple streets, yeah.
Oh, it's great.
I love it, yeah.
I do. I am one of those people who just I thought that, you'd have the summers in between, maybe when you were 16, 17, and when no one worked, because you couldn't really.
Yeah.
That was probably part of it. But yeah, you couldn't work, so you just spend every day lounging in the sun and everything, which was great, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, my parents weren't going to support that, really. And it got to the age of, when I was 18 and I had that summer afterwards. I mean, I probably threw myself into work after that, because that summer was when I'd lost all of my friends. I was incredibly lonely that summer. So I got a job at my local pub. And it was just great fun. I worked ridiculously hard. I was a barmaid. So I was pulling pints. I was serving crisps. It was great fun. That's where I met Nick.
Yeah.
which we'll come on to, I guess, in a bit.
You can talk about him now if you want.
Well, I'll finish up with this.
Okay.
But, like, yeah, so then I guess work was always a way of, like, meeting new friends for me. I mean, I do quite enjoy the banter and everything, and working in bars was probably another way of that my confidence suddenly started to grow, because I know even though drunk men will hit on anything, when I was an impressionable 18-year-old, getting told constantly, because I think that was the summer the Hunger Games came out as well. The amount of, like, drunk, maybe mid-20s guys who would kind of catch me in their peripheral vision and be like, oh my god, Jennifer Lawrence is serving us behind the bar. It's ridiculous. I know, so I'd just be like, you know, okay, yeah, I look like Jennifer Lawrence, that's great. But yeah, so, like, apart from that, and then, I mean, there was one summer I think it was the summer of second year where I stayed up before my year abroad, and I worked in Hampstead, which was horrible.
Why?
I mean, I was working, like, 70-hour weeks, and it was with people that, like, my colleagues I didn't really get along with, and there was lots of drama constantly. Last summer was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved
What were you
last
doing
summer.
again?
I was working at the pub.
Yeah.
The pub in Henley. I met so many amazing friends. Some not so amazing people.
Yeah.
Who I will have to work with again this summer, which will be interesting.
So we'll just not go there.
Just-
Yeah.
Men in pubs do not really work with me.
Okay.
But yeah, so I actually love working, and even though, like, so I've got this new little job now, which it's all right. It's like, it's nothing.
Do you want to describe it just for the
I
audio?
am a sales. I don't even know what I work retail. Which is the first time I've ever worked retail at Taste of Scotland, which is like it's not a tacky souvenir shop, but it's definitely marked up.
Yeah.
Definitely. So we sell, like, fudge and little souvenir items and lots of whiskey. Which is, like, it's not a hard job, like, in the slightest. But again, I've made some really cool friends from it, which is really nice. But yeah. I do like working. I know they're menial jobs. It's, like, kind of ironic because, like, I know that my career path is going to be office based, but I love working in restaurants and pubs. I really do. I just love talking to people constantly.
Yeah, something about the interactions.
Yeah, I love it. And,
like,
you know, even after, like, a 2-week internship, just sitting at a desk from 9 to 5, my back was hurting. I felt so lethargic, and I was just like, God, I don't want this for 40 years. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'd rather be a professional waitress or, you know.
So, you mentioned Nick. Do you want to talk a bit about him? You don't have to. But.
He was, even though Will was my first boyfriend, Nick was my first love.
Oh.
So, yeah, he was 22 when I was 18, and lots of people are like, ooh, what, really? But as I kind of said, like, the whole maturity thing, I felt 21. I still probably feel the same way now as I did when I was 18. And it was just one of those classic, like, summer romances, because he was, like, just my type, and
What's your type?
I like tall-ish, not too tall, maybe 5'11".
Yeah.
Kind of guys. I like them stocky. I like him with muscles. I do, but not too ripped.
Yeah.
I like brown hair. I like glasses.
So shout out to anyone listening.
Shout out to anyone. I'm single. If you want to, I mean, you've heard
If you fit the description, then please email.
If you can deal with me and all of these issues that I've currently been talking about, you can email me. Yeah, and I was amazed at this guy who was so smart and funny that he liked me as well, and it was amazing. And I felt kind of bad, actually, because I knew that we liked each other, that we were attracted to each other, but we didn't get together until, like, maybe 3 weeks before I went to uni, which was really sad. Because what had happened was, so we went on this, I started working there, like, the day after my birthday, so, like, the 11th of June, when I was actually legal. And we didn't go on this Malia holiday until mid-July. So I wasn't even single for that entire time, but I knew that there was flirting going on, and I knew that I was in a very unhappy place, and I was just literally waiting until Malia happened to break up with Will. Little did I know that it would come slightly before that, and that it wouldn't be in my control. But yeah, and then just, I remember, see, this relationship is just, like, the most cliche thing in the world, really. I should sell it to Cecilia Ahern, or, you know, whoever wrote the Notebook, because... So my dad was always really concerned, even though the pub was literally a 5-minute walk.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, Ellen, you'll be working until 2-3 in the morning. I want someone to walk you home. And I was like, okay. And
this when you're living in London still?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so because that was his local pub. That's kind of one of the reasons why I started working there. So he would ask the manager if someone could walk Ellen home at night, that would be great. And I was so embarrassed.
Sweet, though.
Oh, it was sweet. But I was just like, really, Dad?
Yeah.
I'm 18. I don't need anyone to walk me
Especially
home.
talking to, like, your boss. Or
Exactly.
like
behind
no.
my back. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Jesus. So Nick volunteered because it was on his way home anyway. It was really sweet. And we just spent, like, you know, gradually, you know, him dropping me off would turn into a 5-minute conversation before he left. And then like a 20-minute conversation before he left, and then an hour before he left, and things like that. And especially after Malia, those times definitely started increasing. And so one night, oh God, there was this like an hour conversation, and we could, you know, when you really like someone, but you've never kissed them yet or anything, you can just feel the tension in between you two. And it started raining.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
It poured. It absolutely pissed down. And I was like, Nick, you should go. He was like, no, I don't want to. And I was like, but why? He's like, I want to stay here with you. And then I kind of like realised that he meant something else by that. And I was like, we probably shouldn't. It's 2 weeks until I go to uni and I'll be away and I'm moving. There's no point. He was like, I don't care. So we kissed in the rain.
Oh my God. That's so magical. You heard it here first.
I know. It was, without a doubt, the best kiss of my life.
Aww.
Even to this day, because it was just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was literally something out of a movie. And then after that, we were inseparable. We saw each other every single day. And bear in mind, this was like the height of summer. He would buy me books and we would read them together on the grass. And we went out for drinks loads. We went out for dinner. We snuck into a park and had some fun. And it was just amazing. It was just like, that's when I kind of started believing in romance again.
Yeah.
Because I was like, even though Willie would buy me flowers occasionally, etc., it just wasn't, oh my God.
There's like an intention behind things. Yeah,
and it wasn't intense as it was with that. And I think obviously time was a factor because I was leaving and I was moving and I'd probably never see him again. But yeah, it was just, oh my God. I
That's
still
awesome.
think about him from time to time just to kind of reaffirm my belief in love. But
what are your thoughts on love these days then? Based on the relationships you've been in, the relationships you've seen, what's your value system?
I used to believe in, not love at first sight, but I used to believe in pure, unadulterated love. I don't anymore.
What do you mean by pure, unadulterated love?
I mean, pure, unconditional, I will love you even if you know, I don't even know. Just in the most ridiculous of circumstances. I used to think that love could never be conquered, that it could conquer all, but from different, like, you know, I don't really believe in long distance anymore.
Yeah.
I don't really believe that, even though they say, like, you know, the most intimate and the most passionate relationships are based on, like, you know, you look at things like The Notebook and where, you know, they would hurt each other that deeply and then they'd still get together again and they would just fall instantly back in love. I don't think that couples can come back from really, like, deep hurt. I really don't, because it cripples them. It just takes away all sorts of trust.
It's never going to be the same.
Exactly. And, I mean, I've had a few, I wouldn't even call them one-night stands because I was seeing them for a while, but I don't think that love now comes without, I don't know, I don't believe that love, no, kind of like, I don't really think that it can come pure anymore. Like, just from my experience with guys, it's always been that there's a reason that they want something. I don't know. It's been a while since a guy has just talked to me because he likes me as a person.
Yeah.
He doesn't want something out of it.
Do you think that can never happen, or is that just kind of
I hope
your stance right now?
It's probably just my stance right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be a shame.
I know
that to
it
be
would.
your
I know.
point of view.
Yeah, I know it would. I mean, I don't have the greatest of respect or trust for men at the moment, but
that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that love can be like that.
Yeah.
I just don't think so at the moment.
That's all right. Yeah. So just gonna switch gears a teensy bit.
Go
Not
on.
really, but like, what do you cherish most about your time at uni?
Oh,
yeah,
my friends, obviously my friends, and I've definitely started. I mean, first and second year were amazing, obviously, but I've definitely started appreciating everyone and being so much more grateful for everyone since, like, my year abroad. I thought I'd really lost you guys. I really thought that I'd come back and just be like, okay, so they've got their own thing now, and I wasn't there for, you know, inside jokes and, you know, balls and things like that. But then when I came back and you were like, my God, we missed you! And I remember when I can't remember if you'd wrote it in one of your amazing cards to me, which I love them so much, Tay. Or if you'd actually said this to me in person, but you said, like, Ellen, you are the glue that holds us all together. And I cried. Aww. I cried. And I had some very low nights in Toulouse where I just felt so lonely and shite that I just kept thinking about you guys. I kept thinking about St Andrews. I kept thinking about, you know, the time that Molly and Emily got so drunk back in first year that they, you know, that Molly was like, had her jeans half on, Emily was throwing up into a container. I just kept thinking about times like that. It wasn't...
It's a grim memory to think about.
I know, but just like ridiculous things like that. And then obviously when I came back here, you know, things had shifted a little. Like I had some new friends, everyone had new friends and new passions and interests. But we were still us. And we are still us. And it's amazing. Yeah, and definitely from this year, knowing that, you know, you're going to law school. Mm-hmm. I don't know when we'll really be all together again, all five of us, apart from grad week. It's definitely like, I've been so lucky to find so many great friends.
Do you want to talk about Toulouse? I totally forgot that.
Yeah, totally forgot that I spent a year apart from you guys and just that ingrained in your life.
Yes, you are. So you went to Toulouse because of your degree.
I did.
And you study French.
I do.
What was it like making that transition? Was it more of a cultural shock, a social one, an academic one, all of the above?
All of it.
Yeah.
It was fucking scary. It was an amazing opportunity for personal growth and development. Like, I'd kind of gone through something like that already, like, you know, moving out of London, going to St Andrews, and then also coming home at Christmas to a completely new town where I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
So Toulouse felt like that. I was prepared for it mentally. I was. Probably not as much as I thought. So I went away thinking, oh, I can speak French. I'm basically fluent. It's fine. And then, of course, like, the day I get there, I understand absolutely fuck all. Because, of course, Toulouse is very different from Paris in that it's a very southern accent. So they're much more nasally than your traditional French accent. So I had gone there with my perfect Parisian accent, my northern central France accent, realised people can't understand me, I can't understand them. Yeah. It was a really big shock. Yeah, it was really quite surprising. Academically, the uni is really shite. It's known for being really shite. But because of that, I'm really lucky about the grades that I have today, because French uni is impossible. It's so hard. I was lucky that I had a lot of slack being an Erasmus student, being a non-native French speaker. They would give us different assignments to the actual French people, so I got some slack off that as well. Yeah, it was really, really great. Socially, best time of my life. Like, it was
That's
just
wonderful,
amazing. Yeah. And the city is amazing. I keep thinking, like, you know, after Brexit or whatever, I might actually just go and live in Toulouse, because it was amazing. Yeah. And like, the weather was just, I think there really is something to be said for, you know, Scotland and England just being like quite sad, grim people, because the sun was just, I was happy every single day. Yeah. No matter what, my dogs could have died, I would still be like, oh, that's sad, but look at the sun. Yeah. It was just amazing. Yeah, and I met some people who I'm still like incredible friends with, and my whole friend group has kind of shifted. Like, I now live with Katie, obviously, who I didn't know before Toulouse. Yeah. Yeah, and
That's wonderful. Oh. What's your biggest takeaway from your year abroad?
That kind of an extension from a lot of life lessons, that I don't have to rely on other people to be happy. I can make my own happiness.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. Which made happiness with people so much better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because like there would be, so in Toulouse, in the second semester especially, we had this different group of friends who we met per chance on a night out. They went to a different uni that was on completely the opposite side of the city. They lived on the opposite side of the city. So in the beginning, we didn't see them that much, but when we did, we'd have the most ridiculous time. Like, oh my God, we got so hammered all the time. We went to this Irish pub called the Thirsty Monk. That was like, we went there maybe 3 times a week. We were known there. We caused such a riot there. It was brilliant. Yeah, but obviously when we didn't see them, and Katie and Rachel, they lived together in Toulouse, so it was kind of sometimes just me on my lonesome. But still, I just kept thinking, it's 24 degrees outside today. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna sit in a park. I'm gonna go for a wander in my favourite shops. I'm gonna go to Sephora and spend money. Yeah. It was amazing. So yeah, definitely that's probably my biggest takeaway from it, that I don't have to I obviously have an amazing, and I like to think I'm a very outgoing social person, and I like having people around me. But I know that I'm okay if I don't.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you see for yourself in the future?
God. My career path, I really don't know. I really
It's
don't
totally
know.
fine.
I know. Like, so I've got this amazing job lined up.
Do you want to describe it?
Yeah, okay. So it's not like a grad scheme or anything, and I know that I do get some pitying looks about that, because it's like culturally, I know they're not really a thing in America.
Yeah.
But in England, like if you're a graduate, you have to really get on a grad job, otherwise you kind of fail a little bit. And grad jobs are these amazing things, like you earn automatically 28k a year, which is a lot of money for a graduate. You work in the city, you're high flying, you wear a suit, you're at a desk, you're 9 to 5, whatever. I kind of have that same thing, although I like to think mine's much
cooler.
Yeah. So I will be I don't really even have a title. I'm more like a digital marketing, social media consultant for a startup firm, which was created by a city boy like 25 years. His love for wine. So we are a wine trading and selling platform. We deal in very expensive wine. It's like £12,000 a case. It's for like rich Abu Dhabi people. It's just ridiculous. And so, yeah, I'll be getting him on the internet, as he so lovingly likes to say. He wants me to teach him how to Skype, and I'm going to be paid a lot of money to do that.
Ideal.
So I am fine with that, yeah. But part of me just thinks, like, oh, I really, as I was saying before, like, I don't want to be sitting down my entire life.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, either I'll just open up my own restaurant or pub or something, because I'd love to do that.
I could totally see you doing that too.
Yeah, me too. Or, I don't know, like, I'm getting so into fitness nowadays that I would love to be a personal trainer, to be honest.
Oh my gosh.
Which would be, I know you make fuck all, but I really don't care.
Well, you don't.
It'd be great.
Some people make quite a
Some people
good
make
deal
a lot
of
of
money
money
from it.
being a personal trainer, but I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, just being when did being outside and being active become something you wanted and desired? Was it always?
No, yeah. I've always been very, not anti-exercise, but I just had no interest in it. And I think it probably stemmed from my low self-confidence that I didn't want anyone seeing me trying to get out of my slightly chubby state. But yeah, so my love for it came at the end of second year when Siobhan and I, flashback, started going to the gym together. And then it was kind of an outlet for me. During that summer when I was working at Hampshire and being totally miserable, I would go to the gym, do sprints, I would do like abs and legs and things like that, and I would just feel amazing, and I was just like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing. I lost a lot of weight that summer, it was fantastic. And working 70 hours a week will also do that to you. Yeah, it was a way of spending time with myself without just sitting in bed, eating chocolate and feeling sorry for myself, you know?
Yeah.
And then
proactive way of...
exactly. And then I continued it in France because I kind of established this routine. And even though I was very active in France, because, you know, when it's sunny outside, it's so easy to be active, isn't it? And then I just carried on that. And I also had, I had the most amazing gym in Toulouse. Oh my God. It was beautiful. And I paid absolutely nothing for it because of like cost of living in Toulouse is like absolutely nothing. I paid maybe £20 a month.
Oh, okay.
For the most... It was probably the three times the size of the uni gym, hundreds of machines. It was incredible. Loved it. And then when I got back here, obviously, like, still complete gym running. I absolutely love it. But,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I have two final questions.
Ooh, okay.
The first one is, what is your value system?
I think people are too mean to each other. I do. I think that even though I've gotten more conscious of being nicer to people, depending on, you know, are they deserving of my niceness?
Yeah.
But I do think in general people they turn a blind eye to meanness. I think being nice to people, being appreciative and grateful for what you have is so important, especially these day and age where, you know, next day or two we could have nuclear war on our hands, which is great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know lots of people say, oh yeah, I want to be successful in life, but what is success?
Yeah.
Is it, you know, for me it's not being, I mean, obviously I want to be comfortable in my life, I don't want to be living in a studio apartment shed, things like that, but it's not a motivator for me being rich, it's really not. I just want to be happy, I want to surround myself with amazing people, I want to educate myself, I just want to be the best version of me that I can be. And I think that even though I've gone through some really quite horrible things, they've all led me to be the person I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty proud of that.
You should be.
Yeah, thank you.
And then our final question, it's kind of daunting, but what is the biggest lesson you've learned from your life so far?
The value of yourself. I've always, as we've talked about, I really had like no self-confidence, and some days I still really struggle with it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you see,
It's not absolute.
Yeah, like you see amazing humans working out in the gym, and you're like, oh my god, my cellulite, no. But you have to appreciate who you are. I mean, I'm very lucky to be who I am. I'm a white, middle-class human in an amazing university with amazing friends.
Yeah.
I could have easily have been someone who I'm really not. Yeah, I don't know.
Perfect.
I guess that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.